Hey everybody, how's it going? Here to talk about my top five cornerbacks in this upcoming draft. Start off with number one. You're talking about one of the elite players in this draft, a guy who I think is one of the 6 to 7 players who is going to be an elite player. He's going to be one of the greats in this league to come. And Morris Claiborne, or Morris Mo Claiborne from LSU. You talk about cover skills. You're talking about elite zone coverage, man to man. He likes to get up in your face a little bit. He'll challenge you at the line. He likes to get physical sometimes. You're talking about ball skills. He has elite ball skills as well as cover skills. I love this kid a lot. Very good. He has nice speed. I actually believe that he was a better corner, as in just a cornerback. I think he was a little better actually than Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson is a well better tackler than him, and more explosive of a player, especially if you could put him on punt return and or kick return, and he'll give you that extra dynamic. But I think that Morris Claiborne was a little bit better as a corner, pure corner. The one thing about Morris Claiborne, like, he's a good tackler, but sometimes he kind of shies away from it, or he's a guy who's an ankle biter sometimes instead of trying to wrap you up and hit you. I want to see how he does against big corners a little bit. I went back to a game last year where Alabama was playing LSU, and it was when Patrick Peterson was on the field, and Julio Jones was on Patrick Peterson's side, and he didn't get a ball thrown to him. He couldn't catch the ball. He was just on lock that whole game. But every time, as soon as he got moved to the side where Morris Claiborne was, I think he took a slant or something, and he took it to the house. So I want to see how he does with bigger corners. I think he'll be fine, but I'm talking about big physical corners, not guys who are about 6'5", 6'4". I'm talking about those guys who are like 6'3", 225 pounds, and guys who like to scrap it up a little bit. I really wanted to see him against Alshon Jeffries this year, one of the most physical one of the most physical wide receivers. But we didn't get to see that matchup. But I really want to see him against Jeffries. But like I said, to get this guy's an elite corner. I think he's going to be an elite guy, all Pro Bowler. He might be one of the shutdown corners that we're going to have in this league. But he's a very good football player, and he's definitely cut and dry my number one corner. Going up to number two is a guy who I loved when he was coming out of high school, and Stephen Gilmore. I'm a guy who just like Morris Claiborne. Great cover skills. He's not elite, but he's like a notch below elite. A phenomenal athlete. A guy who you could put back there on punt and kick returns, and you can see explosion. He likes to mix it up a little bit at the line. His instincts are a little bit off, especially in zone coverage. But the thing is, he likes to bail a lot, and maybe that was a defensive scheme or the way they had their DBs at South Carolina. But he's a guy that, once again, he's a guy that wouldn't mind to get up in your face, jam you at the line, challenge you at the line. He's a guy that likes to accept those challenges. And like I said, I think if he gets the ball, and he has a phenomenal ball skill. So if he gets that ball in his hands, expect him to try to take it to the house. And I wouldn't be surprised as a rookie if he has a couple of pick sixes, because he's a guy that once he gets the ball in his hand, he turns into an offensive player. He's just that dynamic with the ball in his hands. Very good speed. So Stephen Gilmore, and he likes to tackle. I think he's very underrated as a tackler. He's a guy that likes to get his nose up in there, especially when it comes to stopping the run. He's a guy that he'll challenge you at the line of scrimmage. He's not a guy that will shy away from the contact. He's a guy that wants to hit you, and I just think that extra element put him in my number two. But like I said, I've always loved this kid when he came out of South Carolina. So expect him to go in the top 10. I'll be shocked if he drops into the 12s. I'll be shocked. I think he's a top 10 corner. I think he's a top 10 player and one of the best defensive players that we have in this draft, especially in the day and age when everything is spread it out past him in this age of NFL. If you could get a guy like Morris Claiborne, you can get a guy like Stephen Gilmore, you got to go pick those guys up. And like I said, he's another first rounder. Moving on to my number 3 guy, another kid I love since coming out of high school, Dre Kirkpatrick from Alabama. You're talking about one of the most physical corners that you'll ever see. He's a guy that will hit you. He's a guy that brings a pop. He has very good cover skills, man-on-man, zone cover skills. That being when he was in that Alabama defense, you expect those guys when they come into the league just to be NFL ready at the corner position, at any defensive position, just because of the way that Nick Saban runs that program. Very big physical corner, has very good top end speeds for being a physical guy. Very good. He's a very good tackler, to a great tackler in my opinion. He'll jam you out the lines. Very hard to get off his jam. He has long arms. The one thing that really kind of is like a little red flag or a question mark, I would say, it's not really a big thing, but for a great corner, he doesn't really have great enough ball skills. He'll drop a couple of interceptions, or he'll be so locked in on his man, he doesn't turn his head around in time to make the play on the football. He'll make the play on the receiver before he'll try to make the play on the football. So that's one thing I think that if he could work on, I think he'll be a stud in this league. He's another guy who I think will go in the top 15, top 20. Another first round corner who I think is going to be a good one, a very good one. I think he could play inside too. Maybe he could just try to get up underneath guys, jam them. But I think he could also be a nickel guy for you. So I love Dre Kirkpatrick a lot there. My number 4 guy, my number 5 guy, I kind of flip-flop. But I ended up going with Janoris Jenkins, formerly from the Florida Gators. Went to North Alabama this year, got in a lot of trouble. He was a guy that I seen him play in high school for Pahokee. A phenomenal athlete. Guy could play running back, guy could play receiver. Phenomenal corner, great ball skills in my opinion. Very good covering skills. He's a guy that he likes to sit on routes. Like, kind of reminds me a lot of Asante Samuels. He's a guy that he's very good. I think he's very good as a zone guy. Man on man's a little bit iffy for me. I think he'll excel in like a cover 2 kind of look, because he's a guy that likes to sit on routes and then make a play towards the football. So like I said, I love Janoris Jenkins a lot. He's a guy that's not afraid to shy away from a hit. He's one of those guys where he'll mix it up. He'll stick his nose in there. He's a phenomenal football player. He does have several off the field issues. That's what probably dropped him for me, from a guy who I think could have been 3 or 2 to a guy that's a 4, who I even consider dropping him to my 5. But going over everything, I think he's a phenomenal football player. He's a risk taker. Some coaches might like that. Some coaches might, due to the fact of if he guesses right, that ball's going the other way for a touchdown. But if he guesses wrong or he jumps the wrong route, maybe he's successful to the double moves, and if you get him, and it's going to be a touchdown for the other team. So, but other than that, I think Janoris Jenkins is a phenomenal football player, phenomenal corner. I think if he can get his head on straight on the off the field issues, he'll be a phenomenal football player, and a guy who has top 15 first round ability. Is a guy who I think will be a late first rounder, probably fall in the early second, but I don't see him getting not picked up by mid-second round. Moving on to my number 5 guys, Alfonso Denard. Had an incident off the field where he punched a cop 4 days before the draft. That really is a red flag for a lot of people. But going back to it, he's a very good man-to-man corner. He's a quick twitch athlete. He's not a very good tackler, but he's physical, which is kind of wishy-washy for me. He likes to jam you at the line, but he's really not. He's really a below-average tackler in my opinion. I think he'll excel as a nickelback, just because of his ability to be. He's so quick, especially with those little guys, the Jordan Shipleys, the Wes Welkers, those little guys, the Julian Edelmans, those type of guys that are just quicker. But I think he'll excel in that. So my top 5 is Morris Claiborne, Stephen Gilmore, Dre Kirkpatrick, Janoris Jenkins, and Alfonso Denard from Nebraska. Moving on to my biggest faller, I'm going to go with Cliff Harris, a guy who I thought was a first-round talent. Got into so much trouble at Oregon, and he's a guy that's just a true playmaker. You put the ball in his hands, he'll score. He's a guy that is just kind of like Janoris Jenkins. I think he has very good cover skills, but he likes to risk take a little bit. But if he gets that ball, he's dynamic. He's kind of a mix between Janoris Jenkins and Stephen Gilmore. If he gets that ball in his hands like Stephen Gilmore, he's a guy that'll take it to the house. But he's a guy that's gonna probably fall. He's a really small guy, not bulky. He's really skinny. He's about 5'11", is probably 6 foot pushing it. But he's a guy that I think if he gets with the right team, he'll excel. He'll probably start off as a gunner on special team, or a guy who's a dime corner, maybe even have a shot to be a nickel corner. But I think he's a guy that has tremendous ability and so much upside as a football player. My underrated guys from Iowa State, Leonard Johnson. Being a University of Texas fan, I've seen this kid play all about three years. This kid will hit you. He's a tough-nosed kid. He reminds me a lot of Tim Jennings. He's a guy that he's so small, but he'll fight you. He's one of those guys that he plays 2 times bigger than his size is. He's just a guy that likes to fight. He's a guy that likes to fight. He's a guy that likes to. He may scrap it up a little bit. He plays the game with so much emotion, but I think he'll be a guy as a dime back, or a guy that will excel in special teams, and hopefully later on down the line he'll have a shot to be a starter or be a guy who's a nickel back. So I love Leonard Johnson a lot. And my sleeper guy is Keith Tandy from West Virginia. He's a guy that he kind of went under the radar, but he's a ball hawk. He just has he's one of those guys that has a nose for the football. I think as a junior, I think he led the country in interception. He had about 10 or 11. But I love Keith Tandy a lot, and I think that he's going to be a phenomenal football player, a very good football player. Has a shot. He's definitely going to excel on special teams because he likes to hit you. He has very good ball skills, like I said, and he's a guy that could be is going to probably have a hard time making a team because his speed's not there. But if he can excel, one of those guys that can excel on special teams, and then hopefully get a shot at a nickel spot or maybe an outside corner spot, he's going to be a guy that's going to fight. And that's the one thing I like about this guy, with his ability to be a ball hawk at the defensive back position at corner. I think he's a guy that can really help out. So that's my top 5. Am I missing anybody that should be in my top 5? I know a lot of people like Jerron Hosley. He was a guy that I loved coming in this draft, but I didn't put him in there. I think he's about 6. But let me know what you guys think. But that's my top 5: Morris Claiborne, Stephen Gilmore, Drake Patrick, Janoris Jenkins, and Alfonso Denard. Talk to you guys later. Thanks.